There's this unusual, uncanny nature of human beings that in recent years has taken a whole new change or morph. And for good reason. And I like to play on both sides of this argument, for lack of a better definition, because I encounter people on both sides right near the edge of the fence and on both sides so far away from the fence that it's unbelievable they don't even know that there is a fence. And here's what I mean. I have fun is kind of a loose way of saying it, but I do enjoy the banter that takes place on social media when people engage in a conversation. And by engage in a conversation, what I mean is that something provokes them to not just click the like button, but to think through what they've just seen, what they've just read, what they've just heard, and ask themselves honestly, do I agree with that? And if I do, why do I agree with that? Do I agree with that because I like the person who posted it? Do I agree with that because I believe there's deep truth in what they've actually said? Do I agree with that because I think being someone who likes their post or comments on their stream is going to get me noticed in some way? And yes, I watch people who like and comment and share the posts that I put into social media. And it's pretty funny what various fields of background they come from. There are people who watch this video who comment on my social media, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google+, all four of them. And all of these different platforms. And some feel like it's necessary to correct me because my provocation, intentional provocation, doesn't line up with their theology. Or my intentional provocation doesn't line up with their political worldview. Or what I've said or shared just kind of pokes them in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable with life, and so they want to belittle or demean or discredit instantly. Then there are those who, they might read a Facebook post or just see a quote or a comment that I put up, and it irritates them because it doesn't reference them or their lifestyle or their worldview or their beliefs, and so they just want to be a smart aleck about it. Or there are those who, I could post that I no longer have a cat, and I would get a diatribe about how wrong I am to not own a cat, all the reasons for owning a cat, and why cats are better than dogs, and why cats are better than fish, because they just have to say something. It's not that they really have anything to say, they just have to say something. And then there's this also phenomenon that we've lost sight of any notion of an absolute truth. And so I see people say things like, I'm just operating in my truth. Okay, is that another way of saying I live in my own little world? I march to the beat of a different drummer, and he's actually playing a piccolo? What does it mean I'm living in my own truth? Now, I say all that to say we are in a crisis of information. I put a quote on Facebook the other day. I don't remember that I can say it. I believe it's E.O. Wilson. I heard Pam Hendrickson actually quote it, but I absolutely agree with the quote. And I think her application of it was pretty good as well. And some of the other stats that she shared in her training video were pretty good as well. The quote was, we are drowning in information, and dying for a lack of wisdom. We're drowning in information, we're dying for a lack of wisdom. That's pretty true. Because there are so many other people doing what I do right here, talking to the camera, sharing their ideas, sharing their notions, sharing their experiences, sharing their knowledge, sharing what they've gleaned, sharing what they've understood from others. Our hope is that we're not just pouring out our own notions and ideas, but that we've synthesized some deep truth to make it more palatable, to make it more applicable, to make it more user-friendly for you. At least that's my endeavor. I don't come here to boggle anyone's mind with my fanciful understandings or to impress anyone with my knowledge or my wisdom. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I do what I do. I do have an agenda. If you haven't figured that out yet, I do have an agenda. Do you want to know what it is? Does anybody know what it is? Feel free to type it in the comments. What is my agenda? Does anybody know what my agenda is? What is it that I'm committed to? What is my purpose? Anybody figure that out yet? Why do I do this show? Why does it have the name that it has? I would hope it's pretty obvious, but if it's not, I'd be curious to see what you have to say about that. Before I end the show today, I'll tell you what my agenda is. It's really pretty clear. And you can join me in doing it. It's kind of a conspiracy. It really is. It's kind of a conspiracy. But see, there are those people whose understanding of truth is about as long as their shoelaces. And their commitment to truth is, well, not as strong as a shoelace. They might have a different agenda altogether. Or they have no agenda. They just want to be heard. They want to express themselves. And I'm grateful for social media because I can remember the awkward days of high school before social media, when there were people who wanted to be heard. They wanted a chance to express their opinions and their ideas. And honestly, I don't know if you know this or not, but there are a lot of ideas and opinions that sound really good in our head, but when they come out of our mouth, our own ears hearing them go, wow, that was really dumb. I mean, that was really dumb. But we don't realize that while it's bouncing around in our head, it sounds brilliant in our head. Now, you have to be honest and say at least one time in your life you have said something, and upon hearing your own words, you went, wow, that was really, I shouldn't have said that. No, that was no good. But see, before the days of social media, the opportunity to express ourselves was somewhat suppressed. There were a lot of people who wanted to express. They had ideas and notions, and no one else ever heard them, and there was never any feedback on them. And now we've gone to the other extreme. We have people who, it's every day, bro. Put things on social media, put things out there for the world to see, to glean, to learn from, that have absolutely no value at all. It's like bubble gum for the brain, only worse. Okay, it's like rock candy for the brain. It rots your teeth, it rots your brain, it takes up space. It is empty calories for the brain. It does nothing. I mean, nothing for your own edification, for your own growth, but social media gives platform to that. And the hard thing is sometimes it's hard to distinguish between the two. Good example. Yesterday there was a post floating around on Facebook. The headline was well written. And by well written, I mean the headline alone was provocative. Now, for those of you like Pilar who read the article, you realize how nonsensical it is. Now, there may be some biological truth to it, and there may not. It may be just junk. Junk news, fake news, junk article. But for those of you who liked and shared it again without bothering to read it, yes, I read it, every word of it. I did not appreciate the profanity in it. I didn't appreciate the attitude that it was written from. I'm intrigued by the medical possibilities. That's kind of a fascinating notion. But I counter the whole thing with Scripture, which I believe is the absolute truth. And when I post things like that, I appreciate there are people who take me at my face value, who like what I have to say and share those posts and like those posts. But I really have an agenda when I do that. It's a dummy test. You got it? It's a dummy test. Understand that there are things that I post on my Facebook for a couple of different reasons. I have people who want to theologically debate the stuff that I post. I had a guy yesterday ask, why would you even ask the question that way? It seems leading. Yes, it is. It's intentionally provocative. Tell It Like It Is has an agenda. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. I intentionally ask questions to make you stop and think. Stop and read the post. Stop and get engaged in the conversation. Don't idly pass by those things. Why? Because your attitude, I'm going to go deep for just a minute. Your attitude is the result of the things that you think and how you feel about them. Now, in the same way that a mathematical equation, 2 plus 3 equals 5, can be inverted, and 3 plus 2 also equals 5, and 5 minus 3 equals 2, and 5 minus 2 equals 3, it's the same grouping of letters and relationships. Attitude is how you think about what you feel, and how you feel about what you think, and how you feel about what you think makes an attitude, and how you think about what you feel makes an attitude. And it is absolutely imperative that you take the time to think and ask yourself, how does that make me feel? If you're not going to stop and think about the things that you read and allow into your mind, the things that you say and allow to control your feelings, the feelings that cause thoughts to come out of your head, if you're not going to stop and engage with those things, you'll become a surrendered robot. And you will live your life with an attitude that's off kilter. How do you think the mob mentality works? How do you think people influence large crowds of people to do something stupid and dangerous, not only for themselves, but for others? How do you think they influence a large crowd of people to do things that are harmful, that have long-term negative consequences? Because they don't think. They don't stop long enough to ask the question, does that resonate as truth? Do I trust the author? Do I trust the source of input? Have I verified that at all? I think about a dozen people liked the post yesterday that I shared. Now, you can't argue with the scripture. You can debate over it. In fact, I do have theologians who follow my posts who comment on things. And when I say theologians, I mean these are the guys that teach at the Bible schools. Dr. Kerry Wood is one of those. Dr. Rob Brewer is one of those. These are people who are friends of mine that I've had lunch with, that I've had deep conversations with. Dr. Randy Weiss is one of those. He doesn't engage in silly battles like that very often. But trust me, if he chimes in, he knows what he's talking about. He's studied this probably deeper than anybody you can imagine. He reads through a different version of the Bible every year and has for decades. If you want good Bible knowledge, just go check out Dr. Randy Weiss, check out Crosstalk. Trust me, it can get really deep really fast. He's the only guy that I know who makes notes in the back of his Bible about where the Bible has errors. I'm just saying. But these are the people who watch my post, and trust me, I get private messages. If I've parsed something in the wrong way, if I've asked a question that is untoward or leads to a wrong understanding of Scripture, they're going to call me on it. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate the ones who stop long enough and go, that probably isn't helpful to other people. You know what I also know? I know there are people who follow my Facebook posts who are Muslim. And they follow my posts because they like what I teach on leadership. They follow this program because it changes the quality of their life as a leader, as a parent, as a friend. And they may just take all the religious notions that I have and cast them aside and apply what they can use from the leadership, from the conversation, from the communication skills. And yes, I teach all of those things in secular formats where religion can't be seen. I've been asked to teach for corporations who say, can you just leave Jesus at the door? Well, no, because he lives in my heart, but I will not bring him up in the conversation if that's helpful. I'm not here to offend, but I am here to tell the truth. And if the truth offends you because you're on the wrong side of the fence or don't know where the fence is, I'm sorry, but I'm still going to tell the truth because that's what Tell It Like It Is all about. Sometimes my Facebook posts, my conversations, this morning video, this leadership vlog. Yeah, you like that? Vlogger? I got that from the kids on YouTube. Vloggers. They're daily vloggers. It's a video blog. Yeah, I thought it was cool. So my daily leadership vlog is about causing you to think differently. My agenda is really, really clear. I believe it was James Dobson many, many years ago when I was in my early 20s who quoted the statistic. Now, he is a child development specialist. I believe is his actual doctorate degree. He spent many, many, many years, 30 or 40 years, working with, as a child psychologist, working with families that were in crisis of some sort. And one of his quotes from way back when, and I've got a dozen or so books over there, I could probably find it if I looked hard enough. I might even be able to look up the quote and see where it originated. But I heard Dr. Dobson say it in context, and it really struck me. He said, for every negative thing that you say to your children, it takes 17 positive things to overcome it. For every lie, for every deception, for every intentional mistruth, for every hateful thing, for every time that you call them names, it takes 17 to 1 good to overcome that bad. Because something about our troubled state of humanity, it's so much easier to believe the wrong. It's easier to believe the bad, especially about ourselves. One negative comment, and think about this for a moment. Think, yes, I'm provocative, it's intentional. I will annoy you just to make you think. I promise. Think about it for a moment. Has there been a time when your day was going just fine? I mean, everything in your day was good. And then some narcissistic jerk at the red light, in the coffee shop, in the line at the grocery store, at the bank, at the post office, in your office, said one negative phrase to you. Listen, fatso, get out of the way. And that one phrase set your whole day on a negative course. Hurry up, can't you just go faster? Are you really that dumb? You hear those kinds of things. And when you hear parents say it to their children, you think, wow, I wouldn't want to be that kid. Can you imagine living in that house all day? Here's what we miss, though. Between regular media, what I will call broadcast media, that stuff on television, commercials, reality TV, drama, horror flicks. There's so much negative, fearful, anxiety-driven, hate-driven language and behavior driven into the hearts of men and women and children today. That if there's going to be any hope, I need a lot of help. Provoking people to think. Provoking people to think about absolute truth. Provoking people to think about positive input. Provoking people to think, do I really want that garbage in my head? Do I really believe that that's true and beneficial and hopeful and helpful and praiseworthy? Or am I believing a lie? Am I allowing that narcissistic, selfish, hateful jerk at the post office to invade my space and destroy my day? And if you add to that a few hours of radio while you're in the car in traffic, and if you add to that a few hours at work when other people are having a bad day and they're dumping it on your desk like a dump truck, if you add to that a little bit of stress at home because the bills aren't all getting paid on time or not at all because you don't have enough money, if you add to that a little car trouble, a little relational trouble, a sick dog, and suddenly life is a disaster with no hope at all. Now, I don't spend my time, not much of it, in just flowery admonitions or encouragement. I have to be honest and say I'm learning to do that. I'm not very good at it just yet, but I'm working on it. It's a conscious effort. To encourage others, that takes effort. It's not the natural course of humans. Barnabas was really good at it. I'm not so good at it. I know people who are really good at it. I know this lady they call the positive lady, Carol Ladd. She's a friend, and she's always positive. I've never seen her not be positive. Even when you're talking too much, which I tend to do, and she's ready to end the conversation, which she sometimes has to, she does it positively. She does that very well. It's an art form. I haven't mastered it yet. But I do want to offer truth to the extent that it overwhelms the lies. You were made for a purpose. You are not taking up space. I remember one of the jokes when I was in junior high, high school, but probably that 8th grade to freshman year, that we were learning about physical science and the definition of matter. Does it have weight? Does it take up space? Then it's matter. It doesn't matter how, doesn't matter. It's not distinguished by how much weight or how much space it takes up. If it has weight and it takes up space, meaning you could put it on a scale and measure it, even with a micrometer. If you could measure it, it's matter. Thought is matter. But when I was a freshman in high school, people used to say, well, you take up a lot of space and you have a lot of weight, but you don't matter. Well, that's not true. I am matter, and I do matter. So you can use both senses of the word. I am matter, and I do matter. And so do you. Every one of you. Your weight is not the issue. The amount of space you take up is not the issue. Your carbon footprint is not the issue. The question is, who made you and why? My agenda is really clear. Tell It Like It Is TV is about driving you to the point of thinking about questions like that. Who made you and why? What were they thinking? What were they thinking about you? What were they thinking would be your purpose in this life? I mean, why did you make one of those? If you were a manufacturer and you invested a lot of money in making widgets, would you be able to answer the question, why did you make that? I would hope so. I mean, maybe your only answer is because they sell well. I don't like them. I don't even know what they're for, but they sell well. I sell a lot of them. Okay. It's a reasonable answer. But I think it's a fair question to ask, who made you and why? And if we could focus a little more on that part of the conversation and just keep asking it until we get an answer, I think the social media world would be better for it. I think our conversations over coffee would be better for it. I think our conversations with our kids and our parents and our grandparents and our grandkids would be better for it. If we just focused on who made me and why. Why am I here? Brendon Burchard says it this way, did I live fully? Did I love openly? And did I matter? Did I make a difference? His book, Life's Golden Ticket, be a really good place to start. Scripture, obviously, is a really good place to start. But if you can't answer the question, who made me and why, then a lot of the other questions you're not going to get an answer to. Right? Because, frankly, nobody knows them. But if you can answer those two questions, you will be well on your way to an answer to a lot of questions in your life. And by the way, for those of you who have commented, who have challenged me in my Facebook post, keep it up. Bring it on. I reserve the right to be wrong. I appreciate when I'm corrected. I really do. But know this. I understand my audience is vast and drastically different. I have redneck friends from when I grew up. I have friends who have blocked me on Facebook because I wouldn't stop talking about the Bible. I love you, Alan. But Alan runs here, came right out and said, if you don't stop preaching, I'm going to block you on Facebook. I said, okay. I still love you. But Alan doesn't talk to me anymore. Sorry. I also have friends who have come to a different understanding of who I am and what their life is about. Because I stand my ground and I won't change this conversation. And yes, I know when to back off the religious proselytizing and carry myself as a professional focused on the intention of what we're doing. I don't go preach to people when I go to Africa. I teach leadership to government leaders. I'll be in Washington, D.C. doing it at the end of August. I teach leadership. That's my job. I don't change my worldview, which comes from a biblical worldview, But leadership has some pretty solid principles that that are founded in truth, and they're applicable no matter who you are or where you are. It's one of the reasons that I chose John Maxwell as my primary mentor. After 40 years of being a pastor, he spent the last 25 years pouring into people who are not sitting in church pews and radically changing their life. I honor that. I like that path. So I'll keep teaching the truth. I welcome your challenges. Just don't be disrespectful. And understand that the diversity of my audience does include friends who are theologians, who are professors of theology and professors of scripture. And I have friends who are as well devoted, Latifa Hameen, to her Muslim faith, and Aziz Ahmadi and all of his boys to their Muslim faith, as I am to my Christian faith. And we still honor each other, and we still respect each other, and we still pursue God from our direction until God corrects us. My job is to declare the truth and to love. Sometimes that runs counter to other people's political opinions or religious opinions, and I'm sorry. But let's have a logical, thoughtful, compassionate, loving debate. Let's think about it. I don't play rhetoric very well at all. I don't like rhetoric when it has no other purpose than to regurgitate someone else's thought that's not well thought out or that's intentionally inflammatory. So don't bring that to my Facebook page. Don't bring that to my social media. Don't drop that in my comments. And one more little thing while I'm on my bit of a rant. There are quite a few people who have chosen to use either YouTube videos, my podcast videos, my Facebook videos, as a place to promote themselves, either in my comments or by sharing and arguing with my comments. If you want to share my comments on your Facebook page and make your own comments to it, go for it. It's your audience. Treat them how you like to. But when you're on my page, when you're on my Facebook comment stream, those are my friends. Those are people I care about. And you're disrespectful, dishonest, provocative for the purpose of getting attention, comments in my Facebook stream will get you blocked. I don't allow people to walk into my house and scream profanities at my children. I don't allow people to walk into my space and scream at my wife or my kids or my grandchildren. And I won't tolerate it on social media either. I love you. It won't change my love for you, but I won't tolerate it. You come to my house and I'll lock you outside the front door if you're going to act like that. I don't stop loving you, but you're not allowed to be in my space and behave that way. So show some respect for the other people who are here and understand their drastic diversity. There are young people in Nigeria, young people in Ghana, young people in Guyana who follow my Facebook post, and they send me private messages all the time, in India, in Pakistan. Some of them at the threat of their own life going, I want to know more about this Jesus guy. And I love to have that conversation with them at their invitation. But I'm not here to beat anybody over the head with the Bible. I'll proclaim the truth the best way I know it, the greatest way that I can understand it and synthesize it for you. But I'm not here to beat anybody over the head. I want to provoke you to a conversation that's meaningful to you. I want to inspire you and encourage you to dig into the truth on your own. Here's what I know. He's a big, big God. Big God. And no matter how painful your past, no matter how wrong the instruction you've received before, no matter how wise, intelligent, or educated you may be, when you stand face to face with him, there is no question off limits. There is no proclamation you can make that will change him or make him move. You can't scare him away. You can't scare him off, and you can't make him stop loving you. So when you reach that point where you demand an answer, get up in his face. My boys are both bigger than me now. But I still stand my ground on some things. And on some things, even when they're wrong, I will tell them what my opinion is and then challenge them to make their own decision. Those are not my consequences anymore. They're grown men. They're going to have a price to pay for stupid decisions. And so will you. I will give you my insights. I will give you my advice. I will give you my experience. I will tell you what I've studied and what I've learned. And I'll share it with you the most practical way that I possibly can. But in the end, it's your choice. It's your decision, because they're your consequences, whether they're for 5 minutes or for eternity. Those are your consequences, not mine. And I will love you in every way that I can. In the end, it's your decision, your consequences. So what is the agenda of Tell It Like It Is TV? What am I all about? Why am I here? Anti-propaganda propaganda. That's what it is. It has been since 1993 when I first put together the phrase in my head, Tell It Like It Is. That was the year we established it as a DBA. Tell It Like It Is became a business in 1993, before I even got married. In 2003, it was incorporated as a marketing and information business according to the SIC code that also is involved in entertainment. So we are an entertainment, information, marketing organization. That's what we do. Since we were incorporated 14 years ago, that's what we've done. Sometimes on stage as an MC, sometimes on stage as a trainer, sometimes on stage as a speaker, sometimes just DJing a wedding or a birthday party or a prom. But I've gone from the karaoke parties in Applebee's on a Thursday night to the World Championship of Public Speaking, to Kinshasa, to Brazil, to Washington, D.C., soon to be added to my list. And I'm still doing the same thing, anti-propaganda, propaganda, admittedly biased to gospel truth. I believe there's a way to tell you what's in the Bible without you knowing that's where it came from. And frankly, it's one of my gifts. There are a lot of people who hear me teach and they go, seems like I've heard that before, but never like that. And then there's some who hear it and they go, wow, that was really good stuff. Where did you get that? And if I were to answer the question and tell them it came from the Bible, they'd just throw up. Be like, no, that can't be it. Okay. But there's a lot of stuff in there that's 6,000 and 7,000 years old that today's science believes is a new revelation. It's not. It's been around for a long time. Truth is kind of like that. It's like dirt. You can't say it gets better with age. It's just always there. And that's my agenda. So I hope today's program has been encouraging to you. I hope it's been thought-provoking. Some of you may be a little bit irritated with me. I still love you. I hope you still love me. But I would encourage you to like this post and share this post because, frankly, those of us who are willing to be shot at, verbally, emotionally, relationally, to stand up and be counted, to speak the truth in love, there's not enough of us. If you're watching this, this means you have access to social media, which would lead me to believe you probably have a camera on the back of your phone or the front of your phone. And if you love people, understand how many of them are overwhelmed in life because no one has taken the time to say, I love you. I care about you. I believe in you. Turn your phone around. Hit record. And love somebody. Turn your phone around. Hit record and encourage somebody. Turn your phone around. Hit record and speak the truth in love. There's nothing stopping you. Nothing. It's just a decision to love other people. And at 17-1, there's a lot of work to be done to overwhelm the negativity, the hate, the bloodletting. So step up. Step in. Pipe up. Tell us what you're thinking. And love somebody while you're at it. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button down there in the corner, and follow the rest of these silly videos. Sometimes they have a point. Sometimes they're a series of lessons on attitude or leadership or communication skills. I haven't taught that one lately. I think I'm going to do the storytelling workshop. And I'll encourage you to remember this. I do these live and free on Facebook and YouTube every day at 6:20. But there's coming a time when I'm going to flip a switch and it will all be behind a paywall. And if you want this content now, if you want it all for free, subscribe now, share now, watch now, or pay for it later. I love the way John Maxwell's dad said it. You're going to pay. You can either pay now and play later, or play now and pay later, but either way, you're going to pay. You're going to pay by not getting this information, or you're going to pay to get this information. But either way, you're going to pay. So enjoy it now while it's free. I don't care if you download it. I don't care if you share it. My role on this earth is to impact people. And you stealing it and sharing with other people is just helping me to do that until I make it a paywall. And then you'll have to pay to steal it, to share it with other people. I don't have a corner on the truth. I don't own it. I know him, but I don't own him. Have a great day.